What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the madness. Today we're going to be doing another Axe Effects tutorial, and today we're going to be talking about the multi-tap delay. This is a bit of a monster of a block, I'll tell you that right now. There's a lot to it, so this one might be a little bit longer than the other ones, but I'll try to get through it at a reasonable pace while also telling you the details of what each knob is doing. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Swoosh. Gotta grab my guitar. All right, so you got me on the top right. We got this the actual Axe block manual on the bottom right, and we got Axe Edit right here in the center. This is a big block, guys, so we'll go step by step through each of these tabs, and we'll see what we can do. So let's see what the guitar sounds like without the multi-tap. A little bit of crunch. Slap it on here. Sounds like a bunch of delay on different timings, and that's kind of what it is. So let's jump right into it. And if you guys are getting any sort of helpful ideas or some inspiration from these videos, just do me a favor and smack the like button or the subscribe button, whatever floats your boat. It really helps me keep my channel going strong. I know you guys have been showing me lots of love, and I just want to continue that vibe along the way. So thank you. Appreciate you. Let's get back into it. So there's three main structures among this multi-tap delay, and they're all within here. So there's the quad parallel, there's the quad series, and then there's the quad tap. And all of them are right in here, these structures right here. Quad tap on the top, quad parallel, quad series. Now I'll just briefly go over what's kind of going on in each of these diagrams so you can kind of figure out more nitpicky details if you'd like to go into that stuff. So you can see within the quad tap that there is a left and right, comes in, gets merged, and then after drive, diffusion, and delay, it sends that signal through a filter up into all four of those different things, and then it gets kind of thrown through the tap pan, level, EQ, ducker, and then mixed, and then output. On the quad parallel, it goes through the left and right, merges in, goes through diffuser, and then all four delay lines kind of have their own kind of separate tapping going on, and that all gets into the tap pan level, ducker, mixer. Then the quad series, you can see, goes through that, goes through the diffuser, and then each of these kind of goes and gets tinkered with based on a feedback. So first one goes through here, then it goes into delay 2, delay 3, delay 4, and then it gets feedback sent back and then added in back through here, and then also the filter right here is passing through the tap pan, ducking, and mixing. So basically what's going on here is you're getting series, it's getting sent through delays, getting sent through delays, getting sent through, and then it's getting sent back through. All that signal gets kind of added up over time and then sent back through again. So you get a lot more of that kind of combination of delays going on, especially if you have long tail delays. That sounded ridiculously confusing. I hope you got it. Now let's get to tinkering, okay? In delay 1 and 2, which is the same as delay 3 and 4, so I'm just going to skip delay 3 and 4 for time's sake, okay? We've got delay 1 and 2 right here. We can choose the tempo of each one if we want, just to see what it sounds like right now. And then we can say if we want more feedback. Of course, that's going to make it keep on coming back through, right? So either way, what that's going to end up doing for us is how long do you want this thing feeding back into your signal? And then the level, how loud do you want that to be? Pan, whether it's from the left or to the right. Then the filter is what frequencies is it filtering out per se? If you've got a super fast, you decided that you wanted to use none, and then instead you wanted to use 1 millisecond, right? So obviously that delay is coming in at high frequencies. So depending on how frequent that signal is coming through, you can change this frequency to cut out some of that kind of content. High frequency content gets cut with high frequencies. Low frequency content are cut with low frequencies on here. So you control that stuff with the filter. So that's kind of what's going on here in the delays. We can go to time mod, and I'll let you know that delay, modulation, chorus, all these different effects that you're controlling within this one block, I have specific videos for that I go in more kind of detail about specific things. And I'll give you those links up above and below. Now let's jump into the low frequency oscillator, okay? Or the time mod tab on this block. Now remember that each of these different types of multi-tap delay have different layouts, right? So when we're gonna think about tinkering with the LFOs, we gotta look here. Oh, we're right now on a quad parallel. Let's go down to quad parallel. And then where is this friggin', where is this LFO coming from? Where are the LFOs in here? Oh, it's right here underneath the diffuser. So as it comes in, the LFO is tinkering with the diffuser, and then 1 and 2 is tinkering with all of the delay lines. So we know that it's controlling all the delay lines at once when we use these. Good to know. So let's tinker with the LFOs a little bit. What I'm gonna do here is not really talk much, but I'll be messing with knobs, making some noise, so then you can kind of hear what's going on. Hopefully you can hear it better than I can because you'll be listening more than tinkering. So I'll change this to a trapezoid or a triangle first. All right, so hopefully you got an idea of what exactly the LFO is doing. You can hear that modulation kind of coming in. If I turn this depth all the way up, you'll really hear it more often. Hear that wow, wow, that's it. That's what's going on. And if it was sine wave, you'd hear it kind of not as noticeable, but you'll still hear it quite a bit. Hear it right there in the catch in the back. All right, so I think that's good enough for the time mod. Let's go ahead and go down to chorus real quick. So let's just do the same thing we did with the time mod, but with chorus. I'll tell you a little bit briefly about what each of these little two knobs that control each chorus is, and then we'll get to tinkering and messing around. So the rate is how fast the chorus is kind of shifting, and then the depth is how deep it goes within the waves. So you can imagine the rate is how fast this sine wave is going. Fast would be like that, and then depth would be how deep it is. So let's just go ahead and give it some different tunes. Now notice that all of the depth on all of the choruses are initially set to 0. So if I want, I could just kind of throw them wherever I want, leave them where they are. Actually, I'll make this one go up to like 4. Let's go up to this like 1,000. Keep that one at 370. Change them all to 100. All right, so I know I've mentioned this earlier, but I've also got another entire video on chorus. So you can kind of dig into that as well. I'll leave that link below as well. So let's move right on to some comb filters. So comb filters are a subject of the bigger subject of just filters. And filters just basically add or subtract from frequency content in a signal. Inside of an RTA, you can see all these different bands of frequencies and their amplitudes, accordingly. So, right now it looks like the top is around right here, 200 or 300-ish. And so that's basically what filters do. They modify the filter or the frequency content. But inside this, you don't really see any of that type of stuff. Instead, you've got to worry about two different tabs when you're worrying about the comb filters. And that's in the More tab. So in the filter LFO, and that is it, I believe, aside from master. Within the master, you get the LFO depth and the comb time and the comb feedback set within here. And then also you've got filter frequency, filter Q, and those are all within the comb filters tab as well. So the time is basically, the bigger the chunk of time you're operating on is how much is getting sent through the comb filter. And you've got 4 of them. So you can imagine it can get pretty complex. And then within here, if you really wanted to, you could go into the master, and then you can tinker with the filter frequency, right? And what I would do, if I was kind of a tinkering man, I would go in here, I'd right click to get it to, mess with it in a modifier, and I'd set another LFO to this one, so that the frequencies can shift on their own instead of you having to mess with this manually. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Turn that mix up, and then go back to the More, master. So you can see the filter frequency and the filter Q are both used in order to modify the comb filters page. So I would set one of these to like some sort of LFO if you'd like. Recommend a triangular one, and that would be pretty cool. And you can, any of these things, obviously, when they have a little circle below them, that means you can mess with them with modifiers, which means you can have your expression pedal, an LFO, noise, input from somewhere else. It doesn't matter. You can use it to adjust these knobs accordingly. So you can be pretty creative in that way. So that's pretty much what comb filters are all about. Once again, I've got an entire video on filters, and I explain more in detail what a comb filter is and what it looks like, how you tinker with it. And I'll link that down below too. All right, so let's jump into the ring modulator page, right? So what a ring mod is at least in digital signal processing, which is my field of expertise, I guess, is when it combines two signals of like or dislike frequencies and combines them. So we've got 4 of those here. So I'm imagining that, you could combine a bunch of different types of frequency, per se, like 890, and then mix. I'll just throw these up, and then I'll tinker with them as I want to. And then remember, you don't get any of this until you go to the ring mod mix and you actually increase it. So you're not going to get anything out of this until you do that. And also, there's specific types of multi-tap delays that actually allow you to use this ring mod. And those are right here. Only for quad parallel delay and quad series delay only. So all the other ones don't have access to this. So I think you got an idea of what the ring modulators are about. You can kind of hear the frequency wind up as you kind of tinker with the knobs here, and with the mix you can hear it even more. So I'll let you be creative in that way, but now you know what it does, and that's the important part. So now we are in the More tab, where you have access to the filter LFO, the input envelope, the diffuser, and the ducker. Now, generally a diffuser means you're gonna expel noise out into some room or whatever. How much of that is actually, getting passed around, or how much is diffusing into the surfaces? How much is actually being resonating around the room and stuff, or diffusing into surfaces? Who knows? And then the filter LFO, which is the filter's low frequency oscillator, which we talked about a little bit earlier. You can tinker with that here. And then the input envelope. Now, an envelope is basically if you had a bunch of signals like this, and then you had it kind of go up and down. Basically, it's following the amplitude of the average signal that you're playing. So you can imagine if I was playing really softly, and then, maybe the envelope would be consistently pretty flat. But then I started playing louder, it would kind of wind up like that. And all the time, you're just having these sine waves kind of underneath the envelope. That's what the deal is. And that's what an envelope is. So you can tinker with all that stuff here. The ducker and the diffuser, I have separate videos within the delay video again. The input envelope, I have not talked about that, but we can tinker with that right now. Let's see. Now you noticed that when I turned the threshold all the way down, the envelope disappeared. And that's because, well, to get to 0 dB, you have to be playing something. And then this. So now you can kind of hear what the envelope is doing. So then the filter LFO, you can change that here, different types of signals. The rate, you can change it. Tempo goes with rate, and then the depth and the phase. Just like I've shown you in other videos, you can tinker with the LFO here. So time mod, more LFO. Diffuser, you can tinker with diffuser a bit. Now notice how it sounds like it kind of like hits a wall and then it just kind of seeps in slowly. That's what diffusing is all about. And then you can set the diffusion time, LFO rate, LFO depth, and so on for that as well. Now a ducker, for those that don't know anything about what a ducker is, it's basically as soon as your signal reaches your input, your actual dry input from your playing, reaches a certain threshold, it mutes or attenuates the signal of the delays. So you could be playing, Now notice that when I'm playing, the delay feedback is still sending through, and it's quite loud. Now, if I were to say the threshold is going to be set to -40, that's my input signal, and the attenuation is maybe 30, let's say 40 dB. Now when I play, the delays will be muted more, and the input is going to be higher. So you'll hear it. And then as long as I'm playing, and then I cut it off, and it comes back. See? I have to palm mute in order to get those delays out. Now, if I wanted the attenuation to be less, see what's going on? Ducking is just, let's, quiet down, delay. We don't want to hear you too much. And that's what's going on there. And that's the More tab. Hopefully, if you've got any questions by now, throw them in the comments, for God's sake. You've been here for a minute. All right, and finally, we're on the last two tabs, and that is the Master and the EQ. Now, within the Master tab, you've got Master Time, Master Feedback, Master Level, Pan, Filter Frequency, Filter Q. That's all just within this master. And all of these are subject to modifiers. So you can see you can right click on any of these knobs and tinker with any of them. So that's pretty awesome if you consider what you can do with modifiers. Oh yeah, tone nerds unite. So Master Comb and Master Ring Mod and Master Mod, they're Master Modulation, Master Ring Modulation, Master Comb Filter. So that's what you're using all of these for. So I already showed you what they all do. Now you've got the master controls for all of them. So I'll let you do that on your own because I don't think you need much explanation on what's going on there. And finally, EQ. I've got an entire video on EQ, GEQ, PEQ. I'll just give you a brief definition of what's going on. EQ is just basically using a bunch of filters to do some processing on your signal. You got a type of filter here. Happens to be a null type, and you can tinker with this as you want. Frequency Q. Q is how defined the curve of the filter is. The gain shows you how much gain it is. Low cut, where are you cutting it off? Low cut means you're cutting off more from the low all the way up to that point. High cut, you're cutting back. So you're going backwards. Boop, there you go. And then you can tell you the slope. The higher the number, the steeper the slide. So look at that. It's basically falling off a cliff right there. Which also means that, whatever you wanted to put inside there, it's going to be a little bit less forgiving for keeping other things nearby in. So that's what's going on here. That's the deal. And that is the entirety of this video, guys. It was a long one. I appreciate you guys sticking around. You guys are goddamn champions if you made it this far, to be honest. So if you made it here, I don't know, drop a comment because you're making me feel good, right? So I'll catch you guys in the next one. But till then, I'll catch you on the flippy floppy, y'all. The flippy floppy.